Record. There we go. So good morning, everyone. I'm Jen Slattery with the League of Cities and Towns, and we are excited to have our colleagues here from City Personnel today to discuss recruiting and some tips related to getting the right talent in the door, which we know is very difficult these days. So um, I'm going to turn it over to Dawn, who's been a delight to work with, and I'll let you take it from here, Dawn.
Yeah, thank you, Jen, and welcome everyone. Thank you for um, making some time out of your busy schedule this morning. As you all know, attracting top talent has become more challenging than ever before. And in actual fact, it's aside from financial concerns, it's the leading issue that keeps CEOs up at night, according to recent surveys. So this morning, what we want to do is provide some insights into how to expand your recruiting capacity. We're going to look at the Rhode Island job market, staffing trends, advantages of using a staffing firm, and then we'll open it up to questions and answers. But before we get started, I just wanted to introduce us very briefly. I'm the founder and president of City Personnel, and Britt Phillips is one of our recruiters.
Hi.
And City Personnel has been in business for about almost 20 years. We're here right in Providence in Rhode Island, and we work with companies all throughout the state. We're certified as a minority business enterprise and women business enterprise. So bringing a diverse perspectives, help an organization meet their diversity and inclusion goals. We've been recognized for excellence by Clearly Rated for the past 5 years. And this is an award which is only given to 2% of staffing agencies in the US and Canada. The major difference, however, that sets us apart from anyone else, most staffing firms, is our local market expertise. Like I mentioned, we've been here in Rhode Island for almost 20 years, and we have a good understanding of where to find the local talent. Britt is going to share her screen, and she's going to talk about Rhode Island, the Rhode Island job market, and some trends we've identified in the employment landscape.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll jump right into it. So we'll be talking about the changing hiring landscape in Rhode Island today, and we're really excited to be bringing you this information. Here's just a quick table of contents for you. If you want to just take a quick peek at that. And then as Dawn already graciously introduced us, here we are. As Dawn said, we have quick background, 20 years of servicing Rhode Island. You've heard all of this already. So let's jump right into the Rhode Island job market. We have a couple of stats here for you from the DLT of Rhode Island, from usafacts.org. The unemployment rate in Rhode Island is slightly higher than the national average. We're sitting at 4.8% versus the national average of 4.2%. Just so everyone knows, the higher unemployment rate doesn't necessarily mean that there is a surplus of qualified candidates, which I'm sure you're kind of noticing as you're going through and doing your hiring these days. One thing that you can do to kind of better target those qualified applicants is to tailor job descriptions and consider implementing training programs that close those skill gaps that we see from time to time. There are around 29,000 job openings here in Rhode Island, and those are across various sectors. What that means is really there's a high demand for talent that's increasing the competition among employers. One thing that you can kind of counteract this with is to differentiate your organization by offering competitive compensation and benefits, flexible work arrangements, and clear career growth and development opportunities. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So the labor force participation rate is that last stat that you see. we are sitting at 63.9% versus the national average of 62.5. So that really indicates that Rhode Island has a motivated and engaged workforce. But the challenge with that is that the most willing workers are already employed. They're already employed or already job hunting. So one thing that you can do is really focus on those passive applicants and candidates that are not actively seeking employment, and strengthen your employer brand and maintain a talent pipeline to capture interest when those passive candidates are ready to make those moves. So some more stats here for you about the time it takes to hire and the cost effective and the cost associated with those that timeline. The average time to hire for administrative roles is anywhere between 35 and 44 days. Versus kind of like a global median of around 38 days and the US average of around 35 days. And these admin roles, they usually take a little bit longer due to excessive vetting processes. And there is a little bit of a different hiring timeline when you look at government and municipal opportunities. That is usually around 50 plus days. It's a long time. And those delays are usually caused by budget approvals and multiple interview rounds. So when you're looking at the kind of time it takes to hire someone versus the cost of posting those jobs on various job boards, Indeed, it is $5 a day for an open position, or around $150 a month that you're spending. LinkedIn is even more. It ranges anywhere between 400 to 500 per job slot per month. And then ZipRecruiter usually costs around $449 a month for every 3 job slots that you have open. So when you look at all of that, you have to look at the fact that the qualified applicant ratio they're really only 3 to 6% of the applicants applying are actually qualified for the roles that you've posted. So screening and selecting, those are all going to have additional time and resources spent on that process. And, I'm sure you all know about the impact of like a prolonged vacancy. There's increased workload on your current staff, and there's also the delay of service to the community and the customers. So really, one thing that we recommend is to really streamline that recruitment process, and you can really leverage cost-effective advertising as well, and focusing on qualified candidates through smarter sourcing strategies, which we'll go into now. Around 70% of the people out there searching for jobs are passive candidates. So really that means only 30% of the workforce is actively seeking new opportunities. So these passive candidates are often defined as, people who are employed but open to finding the right opportunity. For specialized sensitive roles like finance, accounting, passive candidates often bring stronger qualifications, more stability, and they decrease recruitment costs on job boards. And they're very valuable, as you can see. They have proven experience in similar roles, then they're often currently succeeding in like a comparable organization. So they are also typically more selective. So they are that often leads to higher retention when you're considering passive candidates. They are also less likely to be applying elsewhere. So that can kind of give you a competitive advantage if you reach them at the right time, which is early. But there are some challenges in reaching those passive candidates. So oftentimes they're not browsing job boards. They aren't applying through those municipal portals. They are often requiring a little bit more personalized outreach and clear communication about the role. So that's really important to have that kind of on lock. And you can reach them through LinkedIn, through Boolean searches. You can kind of target professionals with relevant titles in similar organizations to yours. You can use specialized staffing firms. So like ours, we maintain databases of pre-vetted candidates who are open to the right offer, many of whom are labeled as passive. And you can also use employee referrals. That's a big one. Your internal team may already know the perfect candidate for the role. And you can also use your own networking and professional associations that you're members of. So going to events, sponsoring events, getting out there and looking for the right candidate. So if you, the moral of that, this slide is that if you're really only able to access the candidates who are applying on job boards, you're really only seeing around 30% of the qualified candidates that are out there. So oftentimes the best fit candidates may not even apply to your job that you've posted on LinkedIn or Indeed. You kind of just have to do a little bit of extra work to find them first. So that's where we come in. So we'd like to also talk a little bit about trends in the current market that we're seeing. There's been a couple of around 4 trends that are really kind of prominent right now. This is just kind of an overview of the 4 trends that we'll kind of be discussing: demand for flexible work arrangements, shift towards skill-based hiring, the importance of realistic salary job postings, and AI, which I'm sure is a big topic of conversation everywhere right now. So we'll first start with the demand for flexible work arrangements. Since COVID, this has really been a national trend. There's been an increased preference for remote and hybrid work models. And in Rhode Island, we're seeing, especially those who work with us here at City Personnel, a lot of employers are still favoring in-person roles. And that kind of, limited availability of flexible work options often hinders the search and the efforts to attract top-tier talent. Because flexibility really has become a top priority for those who are seeking new employment as of now. Another thing is a shift towards skill-based hiring as opposed to, focusing on more so like focusing on degrees. So growing emphasis on practical skills and competences instead of degrees or formal education is big right now. And it really allows you access to a broader candidate base that it helps you to find those employees that might be a better fit just for the day-to-day skills of the job that are needed. And it really helps improve retention if you're going off of those skill-based hiring and, performance. And then realistic salary job postings. This is a really important one. Rhode Island law requires you requires you reveal the salary range if the candidate asks for it. However, we kind of recommend kind of taking it a step further and really discussing it as soon as you possibly can at the time of hire or before they move into a new position. For current employees is best practice. And for applicants, it's really before discussing an offer of compensation. Job ads that omit this info are not the best practice. They can discourage applicants. So really sharing a realistic narrow salary range is the best case scenario because it builds trust with the job seekers. It enhances the job post engagement. And it really just overall improves the quality of applicants that you're going to get to the job. And then the last one, and probably, hottest trend of 2025 is the AI in recruiting. So as recruiters, we're constantly adopting new tools to streamline the hiring processes, to improve candidate matching, and to enhance kind of the decision-making that we're making as a team. And it also reduces the time to hire that we spoke about earlier, and it helps us to automate simple tasks that help us get more work done. So,
Hey, Britt, cheers.
Gonna turn this over to Dawn now, and she'll take it from here.
Okay, great, wonderful. So what do all these trends and trends mean, and what does it mean in terms of what's going on in the Rhode Island job market? And what does it mean to companies who are looking to hire? Basically, there's a cost of hiring, and recruitment and onboarding represents major investments. There are hidden costs, identifying hidden costs helps organizations, especially in the public sector, make more strategic budget cost conscious hiring decisions. For example, according to SHRM, the average cost to hire a new employee is $4,700. This includes advertising, job advertising, resume screening, interviewing, and internal staff time. For budget-restricted public agencies, these costs add up quickly, especially when filling multiple roles. For executive level hires, leadership roles can cost $28,000 to fill. And obviously, these costs are due to longer search timelines, more complex interviewing processes, greater risk if the wrong hire is made. Specialized recruiting support can streamline this process and reduce risks. Onboarding costs can cost $1,500 to $5,000 per employee, and these includes training, benefit checks, benefit setup, background checks, managerial time spent on ramp up. Poor onboarding equals high turnover, and sometimes, in some cases, restarting the hiring cycle again. According to the US Department of Labor, estimates a bad hire can cost up to 30% of their annual salary. For example, a $60,000 salary could result in $18,000 loss if the hire fails. And these costs come from lost productivity, rehiring, and retraining. So the key takeaway for this is every hiring decision carries a financial impact. Strategic planning, clear expectations, and proper support, including staffing and partners, can reduce risk and improve return on investment. The nice thing and the major advantage of using a staffing partner is there is no cost until the candidate is hired. But the major advantages include, number one, access to passive candidates. Britt talked about, if you're just posting jobs, you're only accessing 30% of the workforce. There are 70% of individuals out there who are passively looking. City personnel, we tap into a broad network of professionals who aren't actively job hunting, but are open to the right opportunity. That enables us to expand our talent pool beyond what traditional job postings can reach. In our ATS system, our applicant tracking system, we have over 90,000 candidates. So we're able to tap into and get access to a robust and pre-qualified talent pool. We go beyond the job boards, and really, truly, I would say the majority of the jobs we fill are particularly from sourcing candidates and the relationships we've built over time. We have a 90% search completion rate, which basically means in over 9 out of 10 job orders, we successfully identify and present at least one qualified candidate quickly. It demonstrates our efficiency and our reliability in filling roles. We obviously as well give you early access to hidden talent. Many of our candidates are not actively applying elsewhere, giving you a first mover advantage. And this increases your chances of hiring top talent before competitors even know they're available. Another benefit of working with a staffing partner is reducing hiring timelines. Our streamlined processes and pre-vetted candidates enable faster and higher quality placements. And this minimizes vacancy time and reduces disruption to your operations. For example, entry-level jobs, we often fill within a week, sometimes even within an hour. Mid-level roles, typically 1 to 4 weeks, and then more senior specialized roles up to anywhere from 30 to 90 days. Again, that depends on the nature of the position. We have a 72.6% fill rate, which basically means nearly 3 out of 4 job orders result in a successful hire. And it demonstrates our proven ability to develop results, not just resumes. 75% candidate success rate. Again, most candidates we place complete their assignments, their temp assignments, or remain there long term. And this results in fewer disruptions and more consistent outcomes for your team. Bottom line is we're able to help you maintain productivity and avoid costly downtime by keeping your teams fully staffed. Another benefit of using a staffing firm, we're able to offer flexible terms and negotiable rates. Engagement models are obviously designed to fit your unique hiring needs and budget constraints. We ensure a customized partnership that works for your organization. And these are based on, these customized models are based on hiring volume, budget, and role type. And we're able to design to meet the unique needs of your organizations. Whether it's a single hire or ongoing staff and support, we can create plans that works for you strategically and financially. In addition, we use cutting edge AI technology. Britt talked about AI is that if you're not using AI right now, you're going to be left behind in the hiring process. AI is enhancing every stage of the hiring process, from writing job descriptions to sourcing to screening and to engaging candidates. We, City Personnel, continually reviewing and testing new AI tools to stay ahead and improve our recruitment workflow. Many AI platforms come with high costs, and selecting the wrong one can lead to wasted time and money. So we have access to powerful tools, like, for example, our applicant tracking system for onboarding and keeping candidates up to date. We use ChatGPT. You use that predominantly to create job postings. It generates clear, inclusive, engaging job descriptions quickly, ensures consistency across postings while saving time. We're able to communicate with our candidates. We draft personalized outreach messages, follow-ups, and interview invitations. It maintains a professional and approachable tone at scale. We use that for interview and assessment support. It helps create customized interview questions and role-specific assessments. And it helps recruiters evaluate candidates more effectively and efficiently. Overall, it basically saves us time. It automates processes that were once done manually, and we use that ChatGPT constantly in our role. Another AI tool that we use is Sense. This basically automates outreach across emails, text, and other platforms. It ensures timely and consistent candidate interactions throughout the hiring process. Recruiters can build personalized communication journeys tailored to each stage of recruitment, and it helps maintain candidate interest and reduce drop-off rates. Again, activities and tasks we did months ago, years ago, have just been, the time has been cut drastically, and we're able to outreach to our candidates in a more efficient way and keep them up to date with the processes and the tasks. It reduces manual communication tasks and response times. And finally, another AI tool that we're using right now is Signal Hire. This finds up-to-date emails, phone numbers, and social media profiles of potential candidates. It supports efficient outreach with minimal manual research. It lets us recruiters instantly source candidates, details from platforms like LinkedIn. We have access to millions of verified professional profiles across industries, and it improves targeting and reduces time to fill metrics. There are built-in tools to allow direct communication with candidates via email, and it combines sourcing and outreach into one platform, helping recruiters connect with quality talent faster and more accurately. Another advantage of partnering with City Personnel is that we supply staff in various categories in the administrative space: accounting and finance, IT, legal, human resources, engineering, and professional administrative. And these are just a list of the clients we currently work with, supplying both temporary and direct hire staffing in the past year, in actual fact, and currently. Another insight into working with city personnel is that we're able to provide available resources to support your recruitment strategies. We offer a suite of free resources designed to provide actionable insights and assist in making informed hiring decisions. We publish a salary guide every January, which we send out to all of our client base. And this provides obviously compensation benchmarks for over 300 job titles across multiple industries in Rhode Island. And it's built from trusted sources like salary.com, Glassdoor, and PayScale. So it gives you a clear picture of market rates in our region. And as you can imagine, it's an essential tool for employers who want to stay competitive and retain top talent. Another resource that we've started recently in the past couple of years is our Employer Paybook. Again, we released that in January, and it's designed for leaders like you who want to improve the way they hire and retain talent. It includes strategies for onboarding, increasing employee retention, and adapting to current recruitment trends, especially important in today's competitive hiring landscape. And finally, there's a cost savings calculator, which we've used, again, in the past couple of years. And this helps you to calculate the true cost of hiring, whether you're doing it in-house or through a staffing partner. It accounts for things like time to hire, advertising, and internal staff time. What you just need to do is input the data, and it basically shoots out a number in terms of what the true cost of hiring for your organization, for your unique organization includes. The result is, I mean, what we want to do is ultimately be a staffing partner, to be an extension of your human resources department. The result is efficient hiring, better candidate fit, and recruitment solutions that scale with your goals. Questions and answers.
Great, thank you for that. That was super informative. I will open it up to questions, and we're a small enough group that if anybody wants to, you can either use the raise hand function, type something in the chat, or just take yourself off of mute and ask away. This is always the part where it gets quiet.
I guess I should ask some questions. Has anyone ever used a staffing agency for their recruitment, have in the past or currently, or are thinking about it, or?
From what
No?
from what I know of from talking to people, there's very few that have. Oh, there's someone. Robert Half for finance positions from Lisa.
Okay.
No, not in North Smithfield. But yeah, it's good to know that you have such a kind of take on the Rhode Island market in particular. Because yeah, it's quirky from one place to the next to kind of understand who's willing to drive from, one community to another or across the state or whatnot. So where do you source most of your talent from? Do you how have you developed this group over the years of past candidates?
Yes, so it really depends on the vacancy. I would say the more higher end positions, like in finance, in IT, we tend to source from LinkedIn. For the more junior type roles, we tend to sometimes post, but even then we rely heavily, and that's been the trend in the past I would say particularly since COVID, because of the shortage of talent. We've had to rely on sourcing candidates, and we fill the majority of the candidates, the majority of the positions we fill through sourcing. So again, it takes time, it takes effort, and we start to build a pipeline of candidates who we reach out to when we do get a position in that space, particularly more for the higher end. So it's a most definitely a resource that is essential for us when it comes to filling positions, particularly for those higher end type roles, the more specialized positions like finance and accounting.
Sure. I do see a note here from Scott Gibbs in the chat that says our town needs to do an overall assessment of pay, recruitment / retention strategies, and growth support. Is that something that your firm does as well?
In terms of an overview of the
Just kind
stats.
of kind of looking at a unit's entire staffing process,
Not
making
not
recommendations.
not formally. I would say we're not HR consultants. We're experts in staffing, but I can certainly recommend a couple of organizations who I've recommended in the past right here in Rhode Island who would have a real pulse on and understand how to do that. An overview of salaries, staffing within an organization. I can certainly recommend that.
Sure, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. What do you, I can ask, if you don't mind, can I ask a couple of questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I know we've talked to, I'm looking at the comments in the chat here. What's the major objection to using staffing firms? Is it, dare I say, is it cost? Is it, you're not familiar with how one works, a staffing firm works? Is it because it's not necessary? You don't need to use one? I'm thinking about the common objections we typically get from various partners and organizations.
Yeah, it looks like it cost, quality of candidates. Scott says no real objections as long as he can validate the ROI, which is fair.
And yeah, there is a cost involved, but I would definitely recommend using the cost savings calculator, and we can share that link with after with Jen, and she can share that with the team, because there is a cost involved. But if you look at the long run, sometimes the cost of using a staffing firm, sometimes the benefits of doing that outweighs the actual day-to-day, week-to-week, sometimes month of not having that position filled. So it's definitely, and as I mentioned earlier, we work with a number of government quasi-state agencies here in Rhode Island. We are starting to work with the state of Rhode Island. So we have we're a small staffing firm, we're a small organization, so we're able to be flexible with rates. And most of our nonprofit companies that we do work with and quasi-state agencies, we offer competitive rates and negotiate, and we can negotiate, and we're open to doing that because of the nature of the business. Quality of candidate, I see there's an objection about quality of candidate. I mean, we do things old school at City Personnel, which basically means that we interview all of our candidates. I can't say that has been the case, I think, with several staffing firms, especially since COVID. We meet our candidates either in person in our office, or we meet them virtually on Zoom. But in either case, we have a 20-minute, 25-minute interview with all of our candidates before you get a resume. We follow up with references, and we work as a team to decide if we want to send a candidate, if we can hire a candidate based on the interview feedback, their references. So when you get a resume from us, that candidate's been thoroughly screened and vetted before they work for you. Once they've been offered a position, whether it's temp or perm, we always follow up and do a background check on all of our candidates. So again, you're getting candidates who've been thoroughly screened and vetted. And I have to say, I've been in this business for over 30 years, and I have we have a small team. We're all kind of very, very selective. We have a reputation to obviously uphold with a lot of the companies we work with. And I always say to my team, is this somebody we can work with, based on the personality? Obviously that would depend whether we send you the resume based on the dynamics of the culture of the office and the position, departments. But really, truly, is this somebody we can really, truly work with? So I think I've addressed the two objections: cost and quality. They don't always remain long term. And I think that could be an issue where there's maybe a disconnect between maybe the candidates, what their expectations are, and what the company's expectations are, the nature of the position. I really do think it depends on what the nature of the position involves. And I think it does require constant contact with the candidate, and we do that on a regular basis. When we place somebody on a temporary basis, we don't just place them and forget about them. We're constantly in contact with them. We have a recruiting administrator in our office who basically is the go-to person for all of our temps. So that person is responsible for keeping in contact with them on a weekly basis. We reach out through one of our automated platforms, Sense, where we reach out, how's everything going, and checking in. And that's automated, but as a team of recruiters, we do that personally as well. Reach out to our temps to make sure they don't have any issues, so that we can address anything before there's a situation.
Do you end up working with like a lot more temp to hire or direct hire, or it's kind of a mix?
Again, it depends on the level of the position. Most of our admin support positions, up to around probably 60,000, I would say, tend to be temp to perm, which gives the company and the candidate an opportunity to try both parties, So we tend to see that a lot more for the more support type positions. For the more senior type positions, most of the candidates in that space really truly want a direct hire. So salaries, I would say 60, 70,000 plus, and more than likely, a direct hires. We've had situations where a company has wanted to try the candidate for maybe like 2 to 4 weeks. If the candidate is available straight away, and we've done that. But typically, you're looking at somebody in a more senior level position, they typically do want a direct hire. We haven't. I'm addressing Lisa's question. We haven't worked with any towns and cities. We have worked with a number of housing authorities, and like I mentioned, quasi-state agencies, Rhode Island Housing, Rhode Island Legal Services, Cumberland Housing Authority,
Central Falls.
Central Falls, right? Central Falls Housing Authority. And like I mentioned, we've just got the green light to supply executive recruitment to the state of Rhode Island. So we're excited about that relationship, that partnership.
Fabulous.
Any other questions? Please feel free. I mean, Jen will share my contact details, obviously the PowerPoint presentation, the links to the cost savings calculator, and please feel free to reach out with any questions directly. We can help in any way.
Great. Well, thank you, Dawn and Britt, for being here and sharing this information. It's nice to, I think, feel like there's an avenue that may not have been, tried by some frustrated HR people. So it's nice to expand the possibilities.
Absolutely.
All right, folks, you know how to find me, and I will get all of this information together and get it out to you from Dawn and Britt. And yeah, in the meantime, if you want to ask any questions, I'm happy to share that contact info even more quickly. So thank you again.
Thank you.
You all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.